It's another day here at the Comeback Team Studios, and this is your host, Bek Lover, and you're watching Interesting Times podcast on the Bek Lover channel on YouTube. I gather all the strangest, craziest, serious, sad, funny news that I can find all across the globe. I bring you the most interesting stories. That's why it's called Interesting Times with Bek Lover, because the world that we live in, reality, I promise you, can be so much stranger than the wildest fiction, drama, movies that we've seen on television or that we can even imagine. We live in such a crazy world, and I'm here to bring you the best of the best. So if you want a cool show that'll make you laugh at times, maybe even make you cry, in any event, I do all the work, I bring all the stories together, and I put them together, usually every day. It's been very busy this last week for me. I was on ABC morning show in Albania live today at 2:15. I haven't slept in 2 days. I was on Nino Rodriguez, former heavyweight boxing champion of the world. I was on his podcast. You could look up his channel, Nino Rodriguez, or you can watch him on Rumble at Nino's Corner. I also was on Brad Lee's podcast. I was on Godfrey's podcast, the comedian In Godfrey We Trust, and there's a lot of content out there. If you're new to my channel, new to the audio version of this show, you're in for a treat. Make sure you scroll down, check out all the interviews I've done with A-list celebrities, some of the most interesting people in the world, and there's tons of content. It's not just this news show. So, Interesting Times with Bek Lover, and then you also have the Bek Lover podcast where I interview amazing people. Later on today or tomorrow, I'll be releasing an episode with some gentlemen that are filming a documentary about scandals and fundraising and donations and religious institutions, and it should be an interesting conversation. In any event, let's get to the headlines because I'm busy, so are you. Tune in, check me out when you're sitting in traffic, maybe on the bathroom, I don't know. But you can also interact with me on Instagram, on Twitter X. My handle is at Bek Lover NYC. That's Beck with no C, B-E-K, Bek Lover NYC. And let's get down to it. Interesting times. Interesting times indeed, my friends. We live in a crazy world, and I have a ton of very interesting stories, discoveries, just strange stuff that's happened that I was able to dig out of all the different news and media that's out there. So I hope you check it out. And again, like I said, hit that sub button and let's get down to it. So, first news article that we're going to be doing today. We're going to, and I guess my monitor, or I don't know what's going on, but let me pull this story up for you guys. The Philippines, Canalan volcano erupts, sending 5 kilometers of ash and cloud into the sky. Residents living near the volcano have been ordered to evacuate as authorities warn of further eruptions. Here you can see a picture. It looks pretty intense. Wishing safety to some of the nicest people in the world. Like, have you ever met a mean Filipino? No. Most of my interaction with them was in school, but primarily when it was time for someone, unfortunately, in my family that was sick or passing away, I was always happy when I had someone from the Philippines in origin. They're some of the warmest, kindest people. They always seem to be smiling. They always seem to be patient. I wish they could teach the rest of the world why they always smile. And I'm talking about the Filipinos that I've met here in America. So we can't say it's the weather because they're living here in New York with me and it's freezing half the time. They're also the inventors of something called banana ketchup. If you've never had it, there was a shortage of tomatoes in the Philippines one year, and they decided to use bananas instead of tomatoes to make ketchup. And it's supposed to be really good, and they still have that today in addition to regular ketchup. Try banana ketchup on your hot dog next time. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. They seem to. Salama to my Filipinos. And I'm wishing them a speedy recovery with this volcano, and hopefully they are okay. The next article is interesting. It's one of my worst nightmares. The Guardian reports Nebraska funeral staff call 911 after discovering a corpse was still breathing. The worker called 911 when Constance Glantz, 74, was discovered to be breathing as staff was preparing her for her own funeral. Police in Nebraska are investigating why a 74-year-old woman was pronounced dead but then found to actually be alive in a local funeral home on Monday. The town's firefighting and rescue teams responded to Boothris, Macer, and Love Funeral Home at 11:43 a.m. after the caller said CPR was being performed on what was initially thought to be the corpse of Constance Glantz. Glantz had been pronounced dead 2 hours earlier by staff at a nursing home who had expected her to pass away after entering hospice, according to Lancaster County Chief's Deputy Sheriff Ben Hochin. While preparing Glantz for funeral arrangements, a member of the staff noticed she was still breathing and called 911. Glantz was later brought back to life, literally, in the hospital, and her family was notified. She remained alive for several hours but died later that day, according to the Lancaster County Sheriff's Office. An investigation is now underway, but Hochin said the investigators had not found any criminal intent or determined if any laws were broken. It was not clear exactly who had jumped the gun on declaring Glantz dead. There's been people we've gone to and found before, but nothing like this has ever happened. Last year, Bella Yolanda Castro was declared dead at a hospital in Ecuador, but she was later found to be alive and knocking on her coffin during her own wake. My only advice to you guys, if you think you lost a loved one, if you really think they're dead, which is very disturbing to go through losing a family member. I've been there many times. Unfortunately, it's devastating at times. Get something to check their heart rate. It might be very faint before you bury them alive. This is one of my biggest fears. Like, I'm claustrophobic, and I always said, God forbid. Now, am I scared? Maybe I might go to hell, and that can be even. But like, just imagine being buried alive in a coffin, and you're not dead. That's got to be horrifying and stressful. She's lucky she was still in the funeral home. So, Glantz, it could have been a lot worse. We're glad you're still with us. Either it was an accident or someone does not like you, Glantz. So you better be careful and try to find out what happened. Or Glantz, the next time, it might be real. Louisiana. I love this, okay? Now, would I ever live in Louisiana? No, I've driven to Louisiana many times in my life. It's one of the most humid places in the country and on earth. Right on the bayou, driving past NOLA, New Orleans, for those of you that are amateurs, or maybe you've never visited the French quarters of the city that's famous for jazz and many other things. Now they're famous for something that I want to commend them for. Louisiana legislator passes surgical castration law for offenders of sexual crimes. If signed by the governor, which I hope he does, the state could surgically castrate people convicted of sex crimes against children younger than 13 years old. Louisiana judge could order surgical castration for people convicted of sex with children under legislation approved on Monday. And if the Republican governor, Jeff Landry, signs it into law, please, Jeff Landry, sign this into law. Teach these people a lesson that, God forbid, they get caught. They're going to bring Lorena Bobbitt back to life, my friend. They're going to give her a job because she's a pro at that. For those of you that don't remember, I'm Joey Buttafuoco. She sliced his freaking thing right off. You guys remember in the early 90s? It was a big thing. Amy Fisher, if I'm not mistaken. Amy Fisher was her name, I think. Maybe my producer can Google that real quick. And Joey Buttafuoco. She slices dingling right off. I love this idea for people that do horrible things to children. If you are that sick and that demented, then you need to get... Was it Amy Fisher? My mind is a machine. Thank you, God, for the memory that I have. What year was it, Al, that she sliced his dingling off? Does it tell you? It doesn't tell you. That's my producer, which you guys never... Shout out to Al Pepich, amazing producer. Al the Pal, as we call him here. So, yes, she sliced her, I believe it was her husband or lover's dingling right off. I think we need to do this to teach these people a lesson. If you get set up, there's a call, and you do something with a child, Vitaly will be very happy. Vitaly, who's a famous social media, he's done lots of pranks, got arrested in World Series and rushing onto fields and doing crazy pranks. He's actually focused that energy on Kick and Twitch, if I'm not mistaken, and he literally goes after predators and destroys their lives before they can destroy children's lives. And Vitaly, if you're watching this, I ran into you at the SLS Hotel in Beverly Hills in California last year. as we were both checking in. I didn't realize really, I mean, I know you're muscular, man. I didn't realize how tall you were. About the same height as me. I'm about 6'2". You were there with an attractive woman, and I'm proud of you for kind of reshaping your career and doing something that's more serious instead of pranking people and streaking, and actually doing something that saves children. So, Vitaly, this salute is for you. Mr. Governor Jeff Landry, sign this law and teach these sick people a lesson they will never forget. Every time they hear any type of bell ringing and they go ring-a-ling, ding-a-ling, ding-a-ling, they're going to have trauma the rest of their lives. And I think the next step is if they somehow manage to do it again, then whatever object or whatever part of their body they use should also be taken off, whether it's the hands or, if God forbid, they use their tongues. Could you imagine they slice your ding-a-ling first and then you're stupid enough to do it again, and then they slice off your tongue and then you're walking along, oh, what did you do? Well, this is easy. Let's figure out if he did what we think he did. They just pull your pants down and okay. So, yeah, you're one of those, huh? Amazing this would be. We should add the second level. If they do it again, whatever body part they use to harm someone should be sliced off. This 27-year-old keeps taking day laborers to Disneyland, since we're speaking of social media. One thing always catches his attention. This is actually a really nice story. Again, I am not happy with what has happened with all these migrants coming across the border, unchecked, undocumented. We had 2 police officers almost lose their life here in New York City, not even 2 days ago, from a Venezuelan migrant. Okay. The city has been run into the ground. They're committing excess crimes. This is a fact. Look it up. There's been measles outbreaks in Chicago. There is a risk of just allowing people. No other country in the world just allows anybody. Even the most unregulated countries have like one guard with a AK-47 or whatever trying to protect the border. And ours has been wide open. And up to 10 million people have crossed. We don't even know how many. But I do like this story as a human piece, because not all those people are criminals and they're not all evil. It still doesn't mean there shouldn't be a process. But to deny that people come from places that are less fortunate to be a part of the American system would be to deny all those that came on boats and all over the world when it wasn't that hard to get in. So it's a very touchy subject, but I am definitely against the open border. It needs to be regulated. We have policies and procedures to grant people asylum here. Many people in my family got asylum for their political beliefs. So why I like this story, Jesus Morales rolls down his window as he pulls into a California Home Depot, because a lot of these migrants and undocumented workers, they work for cash. They wait at Home Depots, and they wait on corners in certain towns. In the area I live in, there's a lot of people from El Salvador that are clearly not documented because they wouldn't be working for day labor and cash. They'd work for jobs that give them benefits and stuff like that. And they stand there sometimes. My heart, honest to God, goes out to them. Why? Because these are people that are trying to work, and they're not just standing there like, trying to do, like, they're trying to earn a living somewhat ethically. Sometimes you see their wives on the highway carrying their babies literally on their back while they're trying to sell churros and waters and roses. So my heart goes out to those people. But the ones that are like evil and up to no good and they're members of gangs, like, we need to rout them out, figure out who they are, and not keep our country exposed, because, like I said, people are getting hurt, people are getting killed. It's happening a lot. We had that video of that one woman, belt wrapped around her neck, very graphic, a few weeks ago in New York City. But in any event, this story, let me finish it. Jesus Morales, he picks them up, makes it seem like he's going to hire them to work. Once they're in the car and they're driving, like, hey, where are we going? What are we doing? He tells them, well, we're going to Disney World. And then they look at him like he's crazy. Like, what do you mean we're going to Disney World? Like, we're going to go and have fun. And then he takes them. You can see their faces, like they're so happy. They're having a great time. And he basically gives them a day in heaven, and then he gives them some money, and he kind of boosts their morale. I guess it could be another reason for them to want to cross the border. They'd be like, look, they bring us to Disney World. We need to go to Disney World. But it is a sweet thing from him. You could tell just from his smile, Jesus is a nice dude, and his intentions are definitely good. He's given out around 600,000 to street vendors in Southern California. This is my goal and my dream eventually with my platform, guys, and that's why it's so important that you subscribe and leave comments and share, and you have my blessing on that. I want to get this thing to the point where I can help a lot more people. And I'm not saying just migrants. I'm talking about people in general, people that are in need. I want to get to the point where I can create content and show you where the money that you help me make on this channel, just by watching it, just by telling your friends about it, That is my ultimate. When people go, what is your dream? My dream is to help as many people as I can. This world is a better place when we all do things like that. I've been in need in times of my life. People I've known have been in need. So for me, it's very important that I get this. And for now, I'm helping as many people as I can and through the work that I do. So, Jesus, I commend you for being a good human being. It is very hard for a lot of these people. They went through hell to get here. But at the same time, our country needs to figure this out, and very quickly. And that is why Biden has announced he's limiting asylum at the southern border. Here's what he will do. This is reported by The Hill. President Biden took long-expected executive action Tuesday that will turn away migrants seeking asylum who cross the southern border illegally at times when there's a high volume of daily encounters. The order will be in effect when the 7-day average of the daily border crossings exceeds 2,500 between ports of entry. Biden issued a proclamation announcing the change under the Immigration Nationality Act. So basically, he's not going to stop it. No, we'll still let in 2,500 for every single entrance. How many entrances are there? It's just a joke, man. It's a year of an election. They're going to all try to make it look different. This has been a catastrophic, in my opinion, catastrophic just administration, period. There are several differences between the actions that we are taking today and Trump-era policies. The Trump administration attacked almost every facet of the immigration system and did so in a shameful and inhumane way. Those of you that might remember, they said Obama was humane. He had them in cages too, just to refresh your memories. And by the way, I don't care one way or the other because I think we're on that Titanic anyway. You should exercise your right to vote. I believe we have the choice between Coke or Pepsi because the entire system is flawed. When that many people have been in office that long, like one of the next stories I'm going to read about, when that many people have been in power that long and corruption sets in, it is hard to fix anything in this country. But at least he's making it seem like he's going to do something after 10 million people got in. New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez to seek independent re-election bid amid corruption trial. This guy has gold bars, cash, envelopes, fingerprints from developers and contractors who are definitely going to testify against him. He's 70 years old. Under all of this scrutiny and stuff, he still wants to run for office, still wants to be in power. So Bob Menendez, who is a Democrat, is on trial on federal bribery charges in New York. Menendez, 70, said this year that he would not seek the Democratic nomination to pursue a fourth term. And on Monday, he filed paperwork with the state to launch an independent bid on the ballot. Now, he hasn't been proven guilty yet, so we have to be fair. The political stakes are high, given the Democrats' narrow control in the Senate. Where New Jersey is normally safely in Democratic hands, it is unclear how much support Menendez could siphon from U.S. Representative Andy Kim, who is in a favorable position to win the Democratic primary. Americans are fed up with politicians putting their own personal benefit ahead of what's right. That's right, Kim. And you all say the same shit until you get in office and do the same shit that the last guy did before you when he was taking a shit on all of his constituents. Just like this guy probably will be found guilty, in my opinion, because the feds don't come after you unless they have like a 95% conviction rate. So I think Bobby Menendez's days are limited. A landmark New York bill would restrict social media for children. Here's what to know. New York State is weighing landmark legislation that would prevent tech platforms like Instagram and TikTok from using algorithms for social media feeds viewed by children. The measure would require social media companies to present posts to children in the order they are issued by followed accounts, eliminating the role of algorithms that shape the stream of content. The bill has drawn opposition from some advocacy and industry groups, including TechNet, a trade organization that represents companies such as Google, Snap, Meta, Amazon, Apple. TechNet did not respond to ABC's request for an interview. Supporters of the measure fault social media algorithms for addicting young users and harming their mental health. What would the measure do? The removal of the algorithm-fueled feeds. The bill would disallow social media apps from sending notifications to minors at press event, blah, blah, blah. Children are... Okay, so I agree there are many harmful components to this for children. I do believe that is more the responsibility of the parents. I do not like control from anyone telling us what we can and cannot do or watch or let our kids watch. I think that should be up to the parents, as long as they're not showing them things that are absolutely horrific and that can destroy their mental health. But there should be time limits placed. I have time limits on my children's phones and devices. And you should make sure that they have as safe as possible content streaming and have talks with your children about it. Prosecutors play audio of Hunter Biden reading his memoir to set the scene at his federal gun trial. This is in the AP News. Federal prosecutors on Tuesday painted President Joe Biden's son as deceptive and driven by addiction, a man whose dark habits ensnared loved ones and who knew what he was doing when he lied on federal forms to purchase a gun in 2018. I would say it's a pretty good description of him. They forgot the whole crack pipe videos and all that shit, but you get my point. Hunter Biden has been charged with 3 felonies stemming from the purchase of the Colt revolver when he was, according to his memoir, addicted to crack. He has been accused of lying to federally licensed gun dealer, making a false claim on the application by saying he was not a drug user and illegally having the gun for 11 days. The case is dredging up painful memories for the president and his family and revealing new and highly personal details about their struggles with addiction. I don't think anything's going to happen to him. I think they're going to give him a slap on the wrist. And if not, Daddy can always pull executive order on his ass. So, if you're visiting a national park or a forest, anywhere where there's wildlife, just always be on the guard, guys. Quick story here. CBS, Yahoo News. Bison gores 83-year-old woman in Yellowstone National Park. Now, to her defense, she probably couldn't move that quickly out of the way. An 83-year-old woman was seriously injured when she was gored by a bison in Yellowstone National Park. The park said the bison was defending its space when it gored the South Carolina woman near the Storm Point Trail, which is located at the north end of Yellowstone Lake. The bison came within a few feet of the woman and lifted her about a foot off the ground. Emergency staff first took the woman to nearby Lake Medical Clinic for treatment before she was airlifted to Eastern Idaho Regional Medical Center. The woman was not immediately identified. The park noted more people have been injured by bison at Yellowstone than by any other animal. So pay attention, guys, if you go there. That means if you see bison, get the hell away from them. They're basically raging bulls. The park also said its visitors' responsibility to keep their distance from wild animals, including staying at least 25 yards from large animals like bison and 100 yards away from bears and wolves. I ain't getting anywhere near them. In April, an Idaho man suffered minor injuries when he was attacked by a bison in Yellowstone after he allegedly kicked it. Well, that guy deserved it. I kind of hope that the bison rammed its horn right up his asshole. I love those videos, by the way. If you ever want to see, because I think the practice that they do in Spain with the bullfighters and the slow, torturous death, there's nothing beautiful about that to me. That is a living creature designed by the Creator. It has emotions and feelings and stuff like that, and for it to die a slow death, I always love. If you want to have a good laugh and you don't mind a little gore, literally, type in bull gore videos, and I don't know if they even have them on YouTube anymore, but they're amazing, man. And I'm always rooting for the bull, and I love when the horns go right up the matador's asshole, bro. It's amazing. And you can see their faces. They're getting their assholes destroyed by the horns of a bull. I promise you will enjoy it. Type in worst bullfighting videos somewhere on the internet. I promise you. If you will, because I don't feel bad for them. Stabbing these poor animals over and over again, slow deaths. I love it when the bull wins. Or when they have that running in the streets, the running of the bulls. I fucking love it when the bull's just mowing through these people. They deserve it. Let the bull live. It's enough we're going to turn them into a cheeseburger. Do we have to torture them slow deaths? No. I'm going to skip this story, man. It's just, I can't. We just live in such a dark world, man. Ohio woman is accused of taking the life of a 3-year-old by repeatedly attacking them with a knife. And no rhyme or reason. It wasn't provoked. It's I swear to God, guys, we live in such a dark time. You have to watch your settings. You have to always be vigilant. You have to guard your flock. Any mother or father that lets their kids play outside without knowing where they are, especially if they're younger, or watching them when they're in front of your house, man, it takes seconds for something to happen to them. I never leave my children out of my sight. Even when they go to play at their town recreation center, I'm in the parking lot waiting for them. Please, be vigilant. Check your surroundings before you get out of a car. Look at people's faces. Look at their hands, man. I cannot believe the world we live in. And I cannot believe the crime that was committed by Bianca Ellis. I'm sorry, not Bianca. Bianca Ellis is the one that got hurt. But the woman that attacked her actually was Bianca Ellis, 32 years old, Akron, Ohio. Just horrible. Pressure for truce deal rises as Israel reports 4 Gaza captives killed. Al Jazeera's reporting Israel's confirmed that 4 of their captives held in Gaza were likely killed during air raids on the enclave. Regardless of how you feel with the response of Israel in Gaza, that so many innocent people have lost their life, these people were taken on October 7th. The majority of them were civilians, and it is tragic. And I will always say, 2 wrongs never make a right. The world created this mess, the United Nations, and it needs to be fixed. Too many innocent people are dying, and my condolences go to the family, and relatives, and friends of these people, along with the countless innocent people that have died on the other side as well. And my message has always been the same. Nobody wins in war. We have to find a way. The only person that's winning right now over there is the devil, the holiest place of them all. Hot air balloon struck Indiana power lines, burning 3 people in the basket. A balloon contacted the power lines Sunday evening in Hebron, Indiana, about 56 miles southeast of Chicago. Flash of light can be seen as the balloon rises past power lines in a video recorded from a vehicle on an adjacent road. The balloon crashed at 7 p.m. Medical helicopters transported the 2 passengers. Okay, so they survived. They're lucky. They are so lucky. And here's the video of them surviving. I'm going to skip this story. Microsoft and Google are getting ready to lay people off. Tech industry is undergoing a round of layoffs. Could this be a bad sign for the economy? I don't know. Go do your homework. If you're a big Alex Jones InfoWars fan, a judge rejected calls to immediately shut down InfoWars in a bankruptcy dispute. So he's staying on the air. This is by the Associated Press. As much as you might hate the guy, a lot of the stuff he said has happened and come true, especially with what happened over the last 3 to 4 years in this country. Do I think he's a great guy? I think he creates a lot of division, and I think that he's definitely Islamophobic, which I hate about him. And yeah, but a lot of things he said about what was going on when things were closed down, like he was right about that, guys. You got to give it to him. This is an interesting story reported by the New York Post. Extremely rare dinosaur discovered by 3 tweens. My friends don't believe me that I found a T-Rex. 3 North Dakota boys made the extraordinary discovery of a highly rare Tyrannosaurus Rex fossil that could change what we know about dinosaurs forever. Now the achievement of the young brothers, Liam and Justin Fisher, and their cousin, Caden Madison, is being immortalized in a documentary narrated by Jurassic Park star Sir Sam Neill, known on screen as Dr. Alan Grant. Here's the cute, adorable boys. I got 3 boys of myself. Their father and their mother must be proud of them. Here's a shot of the actual fossil. The Tyrannosaurus Rex fossil could change what we know about dinosaurs. So, cool job, boys. Your parents must be very proud of you, and thank you for finding something that's really cool that we can all investigate and hopefully see one day in a museum. This is also an awesome story. I loved it. A couple says they found safe containing $100K while they were fishing in water with magnets, because usually they pull up old guns or pieces of metal or coins or change, jewelry, stuff like that. No, they found something a lot cooler. I'm going to play this clip for you guys.
In New York, thanks to a different kind of fishing.
So it's called magnet fishing. So you basically lower a powerful magnet into the water and see what sticks. Well, a couple in Queens, New York, pulled up this. It's a safe. They told Spectrum News they were shocked to find $100,000 stashed inside the safe.
So they drop a magnet into the water, pull out a safe, open it up. There's $100,000 in there. The money was covered in sludge and mud and dirt, but the money was good and acceptable. And because there was no reports of a lost safe or a crime that had been committed, they were allowed to keep the money. So that's a wonderful day. Or maybe that's God looking out for you. Yeah, let me grab a magnet and throw it into the water and see what happens. I mean, how many of us would even think of doing something like that? This is a really cool story. And this is in New York. So this happened in New York City. Really cool. If you're taking Ozempic or Wegovy, there's changes to your taste buds, especially if you're a woman and you're overweight. So it actually increases your taste buds and makes food taste better. So be careful when you get off these drugs, because if it tastes that much good or that much better, you might eat a lot more than you did before you got on it. But that's cool news. Scary news. Second bird flu outbreak in 6 days infects 103,000 turkeys. There's been human to animal to human transmission. Right on time for this thing to spread like a wildfire right before this country probably decides who's going to run this country for the next 4 years, and probably will even be here in 4 years from now. Find it convenient that this is brewing again, just like it did 4 years ago. Pay attention, folks. Be ready, because we live in interesting times. And my last story is, if you have a tattoo, you may be in danger. But if you haven't got one and you're questioning if you ever want to do it, you may want to consider this. Another reason why you should never get tattooed, because you can't just remove it. It makes you look, I'm sorry, guys, it's true. Especially women, don't get mad at me. People prejudge you right away. And I think it's horrible when you can't take something off this beautiful specimen that God created. Pain in the ass to remove. Tattoo ink contains known carcinogens. Tattoos may increase blood cancer by 21%. This study was done. You could read about it. I'm running out of time. I got to do my next interview. But if you're thinking about getting a tattoo, don't do it, especially for spiritual reasons. This body is a vessel that God gave you. It doesn't belong to you. Your soul does. So return it the way you got it. Don't mark it all up. And you have some health reasons you should consider before you ever do it again, besides the way you look. No offense if you have tattoos. It's just not for me, not something I would do for myself. You're listening to another episode of Interesting Times with Bek Lover. Make sure you stay tuned, subscribed, and I'll see you soon, guys. Subscribe on all available podcast platforms. This is Bek Lover, signing off.